Hello everybody and welcome back to the Finding Your Feet podcast. This is a podcast that is dedicated to helping you live your best life. Every week we bring you a topic that's going to help you step closer to the most authentic version of you, step further into self-love, and just help you start living a happier life.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we're doing quite a practical episode and we're talking about setting up your own business or a side hustle and just like a bit of like career chats, managing burnout versus soft girl life, hustle culture, time management tips, just talking all about careers really, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, because obviously we have this podcast and we also have our social media marketing business, and no one was leading the way for us. We just did everything trial and error, didn't we? We just kind of went for it, obviously looking for inspiration. You listen to podcasts, stuff like that. But it was a lot of trial and error, and obviously we're still learning every single day. But I think any tips, any advice that even we can give from our point of view is really useful, especially for our listeners, because I feel like they're all really similar to us anyway.
Yes.
So hopefully we can bring you some really practical advice and just some real life advice, because sometimes it's hard to find business advice that you can relate to.
Yeah, because what happens quite a lot of the time, especially on podcasts, is you're hearing business advice from people that are like millionaires.
Yeah.
Or CEOs of massive companies.
We are millionaires.
And we are millionaires, guys. So,
Manifesting.
No, but you don't hear really from people that are fairly at the start in the trenches. Not that you're not in the trenches when you become a millionaire or a CEO, you're still in the trenches. But the messy start bit, and just trying to make it work. You never hear from people like that, because obviously no one knows who they are, so you don't invite them on a podcast to talk about it, because it's always
still making it. Just trying
so
to make
we
it
can
work.
give a very, very, very practical, real perspective on it.
Yeah.
Something I love about the world now is how accepting it is of therapy. Therapy's been a huge part of both mine and Abby's life and personal growth through our 20s. I really wouldn't have been able to get through my 20s without it. And I honestly think it's the most casual, normal thing to do ever. If you want to get fit, get a personal trainer. If you want someone to talk to and to understand your mind better and improve your mental health, get a therapist. They know what they're doing. So that's why I'm so excited to introduce you to an amazing platform called BetterHelp, which is an online therapy service. So wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, because we've got listeners all over the world, this is all available to you guys, wherever you are in the world. As long as you've got an internet connection, you can access BetterHelp services. They have thousands of highly qualified therapists online, and all it needs from you is just fill out a quick questionnaire just to let them know a little bit about you, what your preference is and what kind of therapist you'd want, what kind of things would you like to talk to them about, or how are you feeling. Even if you find that actually quite hard to even put into words, that's fine. Just put down what you can into this really quick 2-minute questionnaire, and then once you filled that out, within 48 hours they will match you up with a therapist, and you can start having weekly calls or weekly chats, depending on how you want to work. You don't have to do calls or video calls if that feels too much for you and you'd rather just have support in the chat box and emails and texts. That's absolutely fine. They will work around you, but they will pair you up with a therapist that they feel is really aligned with you within 48 hours. So there's not a huge waiting time. When you know you need to get the help, when you know you need help from a therapist, you just want to get it there and then and just get going. And that's the amazing thing about BetterHelp, is there isn't a massive waiting time to get going. Because BetterHelp is run online, it's all a lot more affordable than traditional face-to-face therapy. I've actually done both kinds of therapy. I've done face-to-face and I've done BetterHelp, and I got the same experience out of both. They were both really, really valuable. But BetterHelp's mission is to eliminate the barriers standing in the way of people getting therapy, and sometimes that is financial. But they're also giving our listeners a 10% discount off your entire first month of therapy on top of their already affordable price points. If you just go to the link betterhelp.com/findingyourfeet, that's betterhelp.com/findingyourfeet, you will get 10% off your entire first month of therapy just for being a listener of the podcast. Right, so before we jump in and actually start giving tips, some of you might not actually be that familiar with who we are. You might be new listeners, you might not follow us on Instagram, you might not even follow the other business on Instagram, because I know we've got a lot of supportive podcast listeners that come and also follow our other business and like all the posts and respect you guys.
Yeah.
But some of you might not be completely aware. So I just want to give context on what it is that we do. Because otherwise you might be thinking, why the fuck would I listen to you, mate? Well, basically 9 months ago we decided to start a marketing agency because we both had skills in it, and I got approached to help other people with their social media based off Find Your Feet social media. And then I'd done it before in the past as well. You'd had work experience before in the past when we were younger. Like, it's just something you just know how to do. You've got the skills for it. We did a lot of the skills that you require for it together at college. You know, like all that.
And I was working at marketing agency.
And Abby was working at a marketing agency. It is just aligned.
Weirdly.
So yeah, so that basically, I had people asking me, can you do my social media, blah, blah, blah. I started to slowly, and it was very small. And to be honest, I was charging shit all at the start, because that's the other thing, you just don't know what to do. At the start, you don't know how to do your pricing, you don't know anything, because you're just like, what the fuck? But anyway, like, and I just thought, interesting here. There's like an opportunity. There's clearly a need for it. We've got the skills for it. Abby's working at a marketing agency. Quit that. Let's join forces. Let's properly like smash out a social media marketing company together. So that's what it is. It's a service-based business. So there's obviously, like, if you're going to go and set up a business, there's two businesses that you can do. A service or a product business. Obviously, service business is where you're providing a service. So marketing or web design, or maybe you're a tree surgeon, or maybe you're a personal trainer, something like that, you're giving a service. And then there's products, so obviously, like, you're selling something. So whether you're selling like clothes or food, all the things you sell, or like maybe digital products, online courses, like anything like that. We are not in the business of product, we're in the business of service. And they're two very different businesses. And I think if you're thinking, I would like to have my own company, thinking about what's important to you and what kind of life you want to live and your values and your risk tolerance as well, your risk appetite, will go into which one you'll set up. So the really good thing about a service business is that it's really low risk to set up, because it requires quite minimal capital. You don't have to put a lot of money into it to start with, because it's obviously based off your skill set. And obviously you will need some equipment, but typically it's not anything mental, and you can kind of grow into getting the equipment you need and stuff. Whereas a product business, like, you usually have to put a fair bit of capital behind it, not loads, because there's people out there that start business with £1,000 and turn it into £1 million company, but you do have to put some money towards it, because you obviously got to buy stock or whatever it is that you've got to do. So it tends to be a little bit more high risk than that. So depending on like your risk appetite, that might come into like which one you decide to do. And then in terms of like scalability, a service business, you kind of sell in your time in a way, unless you can be quite clever about how to, sort of scale it in other ways. But I think scaling a service business is obviously very possible, but it's a little bit more difficult than scaling a product business, because do you know what I mean? You can be selling lots of products and just have lots of people working to ship out the orders, but still maybe have a really lean team at the head office, versus on a service business, service is on time, so it's kind of like your time's capped to a point.
Yeah, it's like a skill, isn't it?
Yeah, so you just kind of got to think about things like that, risk appetite, and also like what kind of like what's important to you, what values have you got, like do you value freedom, like do you want to work anywhere in the world? If you have a product business, that might not be possible because you need to be with your stock, but maybe you can run a digital service business from anywhere in the world, so things like that. Like you can kind of design your life, think about that life by design, like what do you want, and then build a business around that. But anyway, so we have a service-based business, 9 months in, nearly at like basically full capacity in terms of client base. So like it's grown, and with very minimal marketing that we've done on it, because we just didn't have time, to be honest, to market it for so long, because we were so busy just dealing with the clients that we had and like making sure that's all good. So it's only 9 months in, it's really early, but it's been very, very, very successul.
Yeah, it has.
Like to provide two people with a full-time stable income from a brand new business in 9 months in, like as in it was full-time income nearly from the start, is very good.
It's very good.
So we're not here chatting bollocks, saying things that we don't know about, because that's just to give context on like what our thing is, and just like the different kind of business that are out there that you can maybe sell, because it can literally change your life if you pick the right one. Not to glorify it though, just want to caveat there.
Yeah.
Because I think it's done so much online, like glorifying entrepreneurship, and it's not for everyone. It's very much for me, because I always used to dream about shit like this. I always used to fantasize about businesses and having my own. So for me, I feel like I've been able to step into more of the person that I always am and wanted to be, because it's all about environment. You're a flower, put yourself in the soil that suits you. Business suits me, like, but corporate 9-to-5 life might suit somebody else. And that, like, you can have a really nice lifestyle on a corporate job. You can have a really fucking nice salary. You can you're getting paid every month, not have to worry about it. On the same date every month, chiller. You can, get a mortgage quite easily if that's what you want to do. You can have a pretty decent work-life balance. It can be really nice. So I'm not sitting here saying that other people, this is the only way.
No.
Or this is the only route to happiness or success or anything like that, because it's really not. But it's just about knowing who you are and that.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like probably the people that are listening will know if you have like that seed in you, that like entrepreneurial seed, where like you really just want to maybe have your own thing, or maybe like you've experienced working for yourself and then you feel like, oh, I can't go back. Like that happened to me where I started working at a marketing agency and I was like, I actually can't do this. Like I feel like once you work for yourself and if you enjoy it, it's really hard to then work for somebody else. But I think, again, it just comes to taking life into your own hands, because that's exactly what we did. Like when we started this business, we was like, let's just see where we can take this. Like I remember I was like, why would I work at a marketing agency doing the exact same work that I could create for myself and have a totally different energy about it, because it's like our work and it's like, you can create the business that represents you, that feels really empowering. And also to not take like shit business advice, basically, because what you just reminded me of then is like when so many people say it, and I know it is very different from product and service, and I can imagine that definitely like when you've got to invest in a product-based business, it probably does take longer actually to maybe take out money for yourself.
Definitely.
But like when people say, oh, when you start your own business, like someone actually said this to me, when you start your own business, you probably won't take a wage from it for like 2 years or even more, 2-3 years, something. And I was like, literally, are you joking? Like, as in like, don't get me wrong, like obviously you've got to be passionate and I always follow what's passionate to me, but I would not start a business, I don't think, where I wouldn't take money out for 2 years. Like I just wouldn't do it, because I'm just like, that as in like you have your own business to coexist and create this life that you want. And the life that you want, for me, provides money. So like little weird business things like that, like don't take them on, because if we had taken that on and we said, oh, let's start this marketing agency,
it's not relevant for a service business. No,
but I think so many people can hear like little bits of advice like that.
I completely get that
especially
advice though when it comes to product, like 100% I get that. And if you're really committed to scaling a product business, it needs reinvestment, so you have to pump back into it. Definitely. So for that, it's not taking 2 years of wage out of it, maybe still having staff, but you just not take anything, you've got money from something else. I actually 100% understand that and get why people do that. But in a service business, it's fucking pointless, because you just stack up all your money and keep it in the bank account. Like service businesses are very profitable.
Yeah, but you could reinvest in a service-based business and not take as much cash and like live in fear over things like that. That's what I mean. Like it's not set for everyone.
Yeah. Like
someone saying to me, starting a service-based business, oh, you're not going to take a wage for 3 years. It's like ridiculous.
Yes. But like as in terms of like, a service business is done off like the profit margin on a service business is really high, because your time it's just your time and then maybe some equipment, whereas a product, it's tighter. So I get that there's less cash going around.
Yeah.
But again, that's like, think about that, because if you want freedom and you want like location freedom or something like that, then a digital service business is perfect for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're both quite young as well. I'm 26 and so are you now. Happy birthday. Oh, yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you. Abby's birthday was last week. Happy birthday. We're 26. So in terms of like responsibility, it's quite low. Like we don't have children. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have like huge responsibilities on my shoulders or anything like that. In terms of like, I'm quite like free spirit right now, No, that isn't like, it's just me. It's just me.
Yeah.
I don't have like massive outgoings and children and responsibility like that. So in terms of when should you start your business, whenever you want. But if you're thinking about doing something like this, you're thinking about trying things, you're thinking about taking risks, now is I think you can do it anytime, so never let this stop you, but now is a great time because you can bounce back from maybe it like fucking up and not really be like a massive deal, and also you can like take that risk of like, oh, like what if it all like crumbles and you've got to build it back up or something like that, and you're not going to get maybe in debt over it or something like that. Like you can basically take on more risk. And also what tends to be during your 20s, you tend to be kind of cash poor because you're in your 20s and you're just starting up your life, but you tend to be really time rich, which maybe people like later in their life aren't, because maybe they, you know, like I said, have children and things like that. So because you're time rich, cash poor, it means you can pump a lot of time and energy into what you're doing. So even if it is a product business, you maybe have to put a bit of money into it, but you have loads of time. It means maybe you've got so much time to pump into your TikTok marketing that's going to really help grow your business or something like that. So actually basically doing it around this time of your life is a really good time to be doing things like this. There's a lot at your advantage. So there's that to, you know, think about as well.
Yeah, because I think in your 20s and when you're like out there trying new things, maybe starting your business, I think one of the main things you actually need is naivety to things working out, because if you don't then you probably just won't even try. So I think it's so important to literally just go for it and understand that, like you said, you've got like the least responsibility probably you'll ever have now, no matter really where you are. It's probably only going to increase. And as well with just things like creating income for yourself and creating investment and stuff, like it's the same with money, it's the same with time, it's the same with business. Like the earlier you start, the better, because you're only going to like improve. And even if you start something and you will quote unquote fail, it's never really a failure. Or maybe you start a business and you think, actually this isn't for me. Like I think a lot of people can get wrapped up in thinking, well, I'm going to start a business and I'm not going to like enter entrepreneurship, because then what if this business fails? Or like, what if it doesn't work out? What if I don't make money? What if I don't sell my products? And then I have to close it down and like get all lost in the fear of it not working out. But you're only ever going to like learn and grow. And just because you step onto this like ship of entrepreneurship, you still step off. Like you might not even enjoy it. You might think this is way too much responsibility, and like we said at the start, I actually really prefer a secure income. I prefer somebody else sorting out my accounts and my tax. And I don't want to do all this. I don't want to wear all these hats,
your pension and all this weird shit.
Like you might
I'd like to get sick pay and holiday pay, thanks.
It's like so just allow yourself the room to change your mind all the time. And to have the naivety to things working out and to go for it, because that's what's going to get you there anyway. But even if it doesn't, then it's definitely not a failure, because like the only people that are necessarily failing are the ones that aren't trying and that aren't pushing themselves, getting themselves out there. So I think that's such an important part.
And if you even try it and you're like, I hate this, I want to go back to working for somebody else, you're going to go back and enjoy that more, because you're going to scratch the itch, and you know that the grass wasn't greener on the other side for you, so you can just enjoy what you're doing more, you know, rather than always thinking like something's better elsewhere or whatever. Like we both had jobs before we've done this, like for a long time, so you know, like we know what both is like basically, and they're both good. There's pros and cons to both, and you just have to think, what are your values, what's important to you, and then make choices off that.
And like as well, may not be the best advice, but I love this advice, is to like not be realistic. Because do you remember, I'm not going to say who it was, but do you remember when someone said to me right at the start of this business, I was just like discussing these things and they were like, but it's not very realistic. And it's like the worst thing you could possibly say to me. I was like, there's no other thing that's going to get my back up more. But in that moment, like, maybe it wasn't realistic. But if I had like thought, oh, well, this isn't realistic, so I'm not even going to try, then we never would have got to where we are now, because I would have just not even tried.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So like naivety, not being too, obviously you've got to be practical and think not business minded.
Stupid, but
not being stupid, but don't think everything has to be realistic, because I'm sure the big people out there with these huge companies or whatever, like they probably weren't that bloody realistic at all.
There's this series on Netflix, I need to finish it, but on Netflix called, oh my god, what's it called? Basically it's about the guy who started Spotify, and holy shit did he take a battering when that first started, like because Spotify has changed the world It's changed the fucking world in terms of how we consume music from going, because they literally came in and changed us from buying CDs it was either buying CDs or illegal streaming on that Pirate Bay and LimeWire and stuff like that. And they came in to be the middle. And like, but the guy who founded it, oh my God, like he was just getting no, left, right and centre, trying to get like obviously music labels to put their music on there and come up with a business deal that helps the artists as well. But I mean, the times were changing. There's no way you could have carried on with the CD thing. So they've come in and literally revolutionised like how we consume music now. And it's like a huge part of culture. Spotify's a massive part of culture, and that's when then Apple Music and stuff came after that. They were the people who changed it, like the trailblazers. And that guy you watch, because it's a documentary, like as in it's reenacted what happened. I need to finish it, but even in the first few episodes,
called?
Oh, shit, I can't remember what it's called. I'll link it in the show notes. Oh my God, I can't remember, but like just Google it, Spotify, Netflix, it'll come up. And you can see even in the first few episodes, like he is having meeting after meeting after meeting, and literally it's got record label companies telling him to go fuck himself. He's like, fuck off, no. And like,
because they would probably like, be realistic, shut up.
Yeah, and it was, and like actually it's literally changed the world. So yeah, you have to have that level of unrealisticness, definitely.
Yeah. So like obviously now you know more about our business and what we do. So we're gonna like bring to you some of our like best kind of like tips and just kind of like ways we manage our time and our life so that we actually enjoy every day while pushing every day to grow two businesses, because you can quite easily become overwhelmed with that for sure.
Yeah.
So I think just starting off with like the quite simple thing of managing your time is so important, and knowing how to wear multiple hats when you have your own business, or maybe you've got a job and you want to start something on the side. It's like having that understanding that you are going to have to morph and change every single day into different people's energy, because you may have different clients, you may have different customers buying your products, you may have different audiences. So morphing into what keeps coming to me as well is the like switching on and switching off, like as in switching into your business mind, switching into knowing how to sell your product, switching into like selling your products and actually believing it, but then also knowing when you have to switch off and preserve your energy. I think that comes a lot with business. And just the basic of managing your time, because if you don't like learn to manage your time and learn to take on and off all the hats, then you are going to quite quickly become overwhelmed and going to struggle to scale your business and grow if you can't like plan and organize. Like organization, I think, is like crucial when it comes to having your own business. Yeah,
we have quite like strict disciplined routines in the week. Like we're both usually up about 5:30, 6 to get workouts in before the workday, to go to the gym, to put us first,
to get off a screen.
To get off the screen.
I love mornings.
And just and work on something where you're progressing, you're growing, that's nothing related to your business. Even though actually being fit and healthy, when I was ill in December, I was like, I can't work. I had to be like, please, can you help me? Can you do some of my work? Because I'm fucked up right now. COVID got me good. And my brain was just like no, there was nothing good coming out of it.
COVID does really fit your brain anyway.
Yeah, so. It does give you major brain fog. Anyway, boring. But like I was thinking, my God, your business is only as good as your health as well.
Yeah,
but that's not why we're getting up at that time, to just for the business benefit. It's because I think it's really important to move your body. If you're not working out, what are you doing with your life? Please start exercising and taking care of what the universe has blessed you with, an able body. And but like also like it's good for you to have something, I think, to progress in and grow in, like if it's strength training, if it's a sport, if it's Pilates, whatever you're doing it consistently, you get better at it. I think that's very important to have hobbies like that outside of your work where you're growing, So anyway, we're doing it for us, but we're getting up at that time, we're getting it in before the work day starts. And I've had people be like, how the fuck do you get up so early? Like, why do you do that? And I'm like, because my time is money as well. So if I am, and I'm not to sound like a prick, but like that's how you have to think about your business, because it's the truth. So like if I do not get up early and get my shit done, if I don't get up early and I don't go to the gym or whatever it is that I'm doing in the morning for myself, putting me first, and then jump into my work at a decent time, 9, 10. I'm not saying I start my work at like 7 in the morning. I don't. I take a couple of hours for me in the morning, start work about 9, 10, and then work through the day. If I don't do that and stick to that, I'm not going to make enough money, honey. And I got bills to pay. Like, you're not going to grow. Your business isn't going to grow because you're not there in business hours to do the work. Yeah. So it's like, also you kind of like quite motivated to stay strict and disciplined because your time is money and everybody's time is money. So think about that. I'm not saying money's everything, but if you want to run a business, I'm sorry, but money's very important. Very important.
Of course.
So like, but you know, it's the same. It doesn't matter. Obviously we have a service business, so like our work is done based on time. Like, you do it with time. It's like I can make a machine do it, so like I have to do it. But like, even if you have a product business, if you aren't allotting enough time to your business, it's not going to grow as much as you could grow it. It's not about like just working loads, you know, like work smart, not hard, that thing. It's not about that. And also I think that's such wishy-washy bollocks advice. It's not about like, oh, I'm just going to be here all the time being busy, and because we're going to get into that about splitting down your time into important things, but just as an over general thing, like overarching kind of how you need to respect your time is you need to understand the value of your time, and that means, you know, splitting it off into you time, into business time, switch off time, friend time, and sticking to those boundaries, because if you don't, you're going to be a bit fucked basically.
Yeah, you're going to lead to burnout. And none of us like burnout.
We don't. It's horrible.
I hate burnout. And I think when you have your own business, it can be very easy, probably easier maybe than having a job, because it's like less responsibility and stuff, to fall into burnout, because, you know, like maybe you start succeeding, you start getting more clients, you start seeing results. And then like obviously that like makes you feel good because you're putting all this effort in. And then it can be quite easy to maybe just think, oh, I'll just work a few more hours. I'll just work into the evening tonight just to get more stuff done, just to like see more results and stuff. But again, if you don't have that boundary with your own business, then you will lead to burnout. And then you just won't even have the energy to put into the business. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's probably businesses out there that could have flourished easily, but people, if you're not boundary with yourself and you end up burning out, then you can't like be creative when you're burnt out. No. Because you're just trying to survive, because your body's like, oh, I'm overstimulated. This is way too much. And like, I mean, personally for me, if I've like led to burnout, I'm just like get so unproductive. Yes. I'm like, I physically can't. Like, if we were just burnt out all the time, like we could never run these two businesses. No. So I have to be really bounded, especially with like evenings, and knowing, like when to switch off, knowing when I've had enough, knowing when I've not even got the energetic space to do something, but then also like pre-planning that, if that makes sense. Like if I know I need to have a lot of energy tomorrow, I've got a lot on, then it's like actually knowing that I need to stop at this time, and that I can't take on too much today because I've got more to do tomorrow, and I've got to put this different hat on tomorrow, which is different than this hat. Yeah. It's like pre-planning your whole days.
What one thing that I do wrong sometimes is I'll be like, oh, I've got so much energy today, I can just go a bit extra, and I'll go that bit extra.
Do you ever do like get that random boost at like 5-6 o'clock? Yeah, I got that. Yeah. Was it yesterday or the day before? And I was literally like electric at like 6 o'clock, and I was like, I could just go for hours now, but I was like, I'm not gonna. So I just sat there like, I'll just read my book then. But yeah, it was weird. You sometimes get that and you have to stop yourself.
Yeah, it's like second wind kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, sometimes, I'll feel like, oh, I've got a lot of energy today. Like, I can keep going, and I'll go into the evening a bit too far. Maybe I won't close my laptop until 8:30. So maybe sometimes even later.
It's basically the evening, isn't it?
Yeah. You need to be eating your dinner and going to fucking bed.
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting up early. It's stupid. But anyway, sometimes I just do that, or if there's a deadline or whatever. But then what happens is I sacrifice my productivity and my focus for the next day, which is shit, because that means that maybe I went 150% on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday I wake up and I feel battered, and I can only give 40%, which is shit. Because whereas like if you were just to split it down, like, and just do, like 90% one day, 90% the next day, do you know what I mean? Like not so having those boundaries in yourself, even if you feel at 6 o'clock that I can just keep on going. I'm gonna work into the night. Let's go. Gary Vee's gonna be so proud of me right now. I don't think he really gives that advice anymore, but he used to say, you get home from work. It was when he was like trying to get people to do side hustles, which obviously, that's probably a challenge in itself because you've got to balance it alongside your full-time job. He was like, between the hours of like 5 to 2 a.m, just work. You shouldn't be going to sleep. Just work. Like, it's like, what about sleep? Sleep is very important. But anyway, like, whenever I do that, basically, I just fuck it up for the next day. And I actually saw Grace Beverly talking about it on her Instagram story, because she posts up her daily schedules of her jam-packed life, and she put on her New Year thing. She was trying to get up at 6 because she was trying to get workouts in before the workday starts, just to prioritize her some more. But then she put one on, like, so obviously everyone, all her followers know that's one of her New Year goals. And she puts on her schedule of today, and she's like, didn't get up at 6, got up at 8 because I worked late the night before, so I need to sleep, and also now I'm going to be shit at my job all day because. And then she was like, and then it said, like 5:30 leave the office and start working, because obviously last night she like overdid it a bit, and it's so true because then you've got to then rein it in the next day and maybe even do less than you could have if you equally split it across 2 days. So actually sometimes sitting there and thinking that Gary Vee is going to give you a gold star, isn't always the best idea.
No.
So definitely having those boundaries in yourself. I found December really hard because it was the first month I've had where I've had a busy business like that, and I had loads of social commitments. Because normally I don't do that. I am social, but I'm not like, I don't overcommit. I'm not crazy. And I was like, fuck me, this is really hard. You just can't. Oh, too much.
Yeah, it is hard. I suppose that is the positive of having your own business, is you can manage your own time, but then, yeah, sometimes it's just impossible.
Yeah, because it doesn't switch off, really.
Yeah, and like we said with service, it is time.
Yeah. So yeah, time management. There's some time management for you. There's this thing on TikTok, like, when there was that girl trend for a bit?
Yeah.
Green juice Pilates.
Yeah.
Journaling, meditating. That girl.
Yeah.
And now there's this soft girl thing, soft girl life, which is where you're like, you're not really interested in hustling, and you're like, what's important to you is like making decent money from your job, but not really working too hard. Nothing's too stressful. And then
I do love that.
I fucking love that too. Fucking love it. Respect. I think you can have such a nice life off that.
Yeah.
Like getting your dough that you need, working your job, but at the weekend, I don't care.
You can switch off.
Switching off. I'm getting a paycheck every fucking month. And like, you just like, what's important to you is friendship time, you time, like, so it's called this soft girl life.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need to have one or the other, because I think they both go hand in hand. Like, if you want to be do the business owning stuff and like maybe having a side hustle, you have to have soft girl as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one or the other.
No, I don't.
But soft girl is like come around to like fight back the hustle culture people who are like, start a business or you're a piece of shit. Start a business or you mean nothing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I get why it's come around.
Yeah, they're like modern day archetypes.
Yes, they are. But I think we do both.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't. There's no longevity in what you're doing at all if you don't.
No, not at all. I feel like even recently I'm really more leaning into the soft girl life.
Yeah.
Because I think as well, if you are quite in that masculine energy of running your own business and wanting to expand it and grow and stuff like that, you are in that really productive masculine.
Yes.
So you have to like balance it out with your feminine, because it's very easy to just not. But yeah, I think like what we said before, like switching off, like for me, my evenings are like a really like sacred, relaxing time. And if I wasn't to like so much switch off or like do anything I enjoyed or prioritize, like, just like going for a coffee, because like we always like, we go to Starbucks and work now. So I was thinking the other day, like it's so nice when you go for coffee and you just talk to someone, because when you see people in Starbucks doing that all the time.
Yeah.
And
if anyone ever wants to hang out with me and they say Starbucks, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, no,
I'm not there because I go in there and I'm like, it's my office. Don't
yeah,
take
it
me
literally
there.
is. And I see people just sitting there and talking, or when we see people reading the books, and I'm like, oh my
Christmas,
god.
before Christmas, we were like manic trying to finish stuff right before Christmas, and there was a guy sat in there like reading a book.
Yeah, we were like, what the fuck?
Coffee
Living his best life.
Friday morning, and I was like, I want to be you right now. I want to be you, Mr. Soft Man.
Yeah, literally, he was living his best life. But yeah, so now like I feel like I really like honor and prioritize that switching off, And if I didn't switch off, I would honestly be so overwhelmed, like my nervous system wouldn't be able to take it.
Yeah, but I think what's good is when you kind of got that balance is, when you're putting in the effort to work hard, but you also then, when you is coming around to the soft girl time of the day, you really sink into it and enjoy it because you can relax knowing that you've done max what you can do for the day, kind of thing. I heard like Joe Rogan talking about, maybe it's one of those motivational videos you sent me of him on YouTube, and I swear he was saying something like, in terms of watching TV, he does like to watch TV, but he will only enjoy it if he knows that he's like done his work or like done the gym or something like that. Otherwise he sat there and he's like not enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. I think that can lead to a little bit toxic though. Like, I must admit, if you gave me a week now and was like, oh, don't do anything, I would really struggle.
Why? Because you're so used to being...
Yeah, because I'm so used to hustling. Like, when you have a Sunday and it's completely free, do you not feel a bit like, ooh?
Yeah, and then you try and like fill it up.
Yeah, with like random shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a really chilled weekend this weekend actually, and I'm really leaning in.
Yeah, me too.
Because I really need that time actually.
But that's why I think it's good as well to just like schedule time off and things like that.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Going away at Christmas, going away soon, because that like forces you to actually switch off.
Yes.
Okay, so now we just have like some really practical kind of business tips, which we think are really valuable, that we've kind of just learned on our that we've kind of just learned on our journeys. So I think the first one, no matter what your business is turning up with the right energy and believing in your business and believing in the service that you're offering and the impact that you can make, because no one at all is going to buy into your business if you don't believe in it, because it's completely an energy that you're holding. And if like you don't believe necessarily in your business or the products, then it's probably just not the one you should be running. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not interested in it or if you find it boring, then people will pick up on that. And that, like, like when energy's off, businesses can really struggle when energy's off because people are picking up on it. So I think firstly is like starting a business that you are interested in and that you know is going to make an impact. And then say if you want to start a business and you're like interested in something, but you're like, don't believe that much in your value, then you can always learn. You can always get more knowledge. You can always read books. You can always do courses. Like, you're not capped at whatever your skills are now. If you want to start social media marketing business, you don't know much about it, then you can go and learn. But like, the most important thing is that when you show up there, you're in front of a client or you're in front of potential customers, is that you actually believe and you're behind your work. And if you're not so much there, then you can always grow to really believe in it, because that's what helps people buy into it, and that's what helps people get the value as well. Because if you don't believe in what you're providing, then
they're not going to want to pay you any money for it.
No, but then as well, it's like wasted energy anyway. Because if I'm selling you a service that I don't actually believe in, then I'm just wasting my time and your time and money and energy on something that none of us even believe in.
Yes, and you could actually have a really strong skill set or really amazing product, but your mind and that lack of belief can get in the way. And that's why actually as well, having a business, I think you have to do personal development work alongside of it for it to be successful as well. Not like it's a like a direct correlation the only way you will, but because you get challenged so much as a person and you have to be out of your comfort zone basically on a daily basis, then it means that you have to get out of your own way, even at that very initial point of like your energy behind what you're selling. Because if you think you're shit just because your brain says you're not, because of you actually are, because you're feeling insecure, then you just like putting a huge wall in front of you already. So it's that's the other thing about starting a company, is that strap in and get ready for a ride of personal growth.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like on that as well, like, if you don't go ahead and do it and offer your service that feels aligned to you, like, somebody else is just going to go and do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone feels that level of imposter on some level. And I suppose it's spending that time like understanding your own imposter level and understanding where your brain is talking you out of it, because somebody else might just go and say, okay, I'll do it. What you could have easily done. Yes,
and maybe they're shitter than you.
Exactly.
And they're taking the opportunities.
Oh my God, what is that quote that like, there are people out there
less
Yeah.
qualified and less good as you, like.
Yeah, the quote is, there are people less qualified than you doing the things you want to do simply because they decided to believe in themselves.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily need to be qualified, like just even skilled or anything.
You really don't need like some fancy degree to start a business and stuff like that. You don't need to go to business school. You don't need to do anything. You just need to just fucking start. Like that's what you learn it all when you do it. But another thing I actually wanted to say is for anyone listening right now, get the idea out of your head that opportunity comes to you, because it doesn't. It literally doesn't. Like, as in, you have to go knocking for it. Every bit of business yes, people will approach you and stuff like that, but they might approach you about one thing that's actually not going to bring your business very much money or whatever, and you need to really upsell. Every single bit of valuable business that's actually grown the company, been a huge part of, like, been like, oh, if we didn't have this, we'd be a bit fucked. Like, has come from upselling in that way, and like believing in what you have to offer, explaining what that is to somebody else,
because they don't know
why they need it. You need to educate people on why they need whatever it is you're offering to the world. And opportunity just doesn't really come knocking. And now you were looking at me thinking, we've had opportunities come knocking. We have, because
to a degree.
Yeah, and we have, because we put a podcast out every week that's actually attracted in some clients from it, like from them knowing us through that, and that's from like
but I just think invisible blessings as well that we were talking about last week.
But as in, you have to show up for it. It will not just come. You need to stop being scared. You need to put that away. Like, as in, I think so many people can hold themselves back because they think, oh, I'm shit, nothing's happening, nothing's coming to me yet, I'm shit, it's because I'm not good enough, I need to stop doing this. And it's like, no, if you honestly knew what we do, like, as in terms of like, we're like, right, we need to go and approach someone about this, we need to offer somebody this, and they might say no, and you could take a big fat rejection, but you're like, it doesn't matter, because there's no choice, sink or swim. Like, as in, we do go out there and we're like making ourselves available, basically.
Because people don't have a clue why they need you unless you tell them.
So
like they literally don't have a clue.
Get comfortable.
They don't know what you can even do.
You need to get comfortable with
selling yourself.
Yes.
Another tip, but I feel like this is maybe more as well, I mean, we've talked about a whole range of like business moments in a way, like starting and stuff, but this is more kind of maybe expanding and being clever with like your time and like the energy that you're putting into it. So and we spoke about this on the podcast before, but I just think it is really important in business, is to always prioritize needle moving tasks to grow your business. Because if you want to expand, don't get me wrong, some people might grow a business and be really happy and comfortable and just want to kind of stay how it is. But if you want to expand, then you need to be prioritizing things that are going to grow your business and not just get busy being busy. I think you said that to me once, and I was like, it's always just stuck in my head. Like, you can so easily get busy being busy in your business and think that you're putting loads of effort into it, but when really, I think that can really play into the part of you that just like wants to stay in a comfort zone, because you could just create this like really comfortable little routine and be like, oh, why is my business not growing? But you're not spending any time doing things that actually move your business forward and move the needle forward. And I heard this quote the other day, and it was like talking about business related stuff, and it's like saying how you can so easily create yourself just a job, and it can just become like a really tiresome job where you're just doing the same thing every day, wanting maybe different results, you're wanting that pay rise in the job, but you're not necessarily getting it, but you're the one in the driver's seat and you're not necessarily moving the needle along. Like, you could be sitting on money, on things that can create passive income for you, but you're not spending any time actually dedicated to growing those things that are kind of like waiting for you to latch onto. So I think it's like and I think that comes just from actually just like learning through your own business, because everyone's business is so different, and learning about passive income and stuff, and being really clever with your time, and maybe like thinking, oh, do I need to outsource this? Where am I spending so much time where I'm not actually getting much money back? And just learning, like, so for example, now I'm reading a book. I mean, it's quite actually simple. I'm going to read more in-depth ones, because, you know, we've read quite a few on money books, but I haven't read that many practical ones. No. This one's actually quite practical. It's about like passive income and making your money work for you and stuff like that. So it's like investing your time to read those books, to look at your business from an overhead and think, where do I need to put more time to expand? Because nobody's going to tell you to do that.
No.
You could just quite easily just do the day-to-day.
So what Rich Dad, Poor Dad's quite practical.
I haven't read that much yet. It's kind of like a story, which is really nice. But yeah, it is quite practical. It's like he's learning advice. And I think it is going to talk a lot about like making your money work for you, not trading your time for money. In terms of like, obviously with service-based, you are trading your time for money, but as well, like you put the price on it, you know your value. You know, like a lot of people may want more money in life, but then they may stay in a job where they're just trading their hours for a set amount of time, where they might have other skills. They could make a side hustle where they have this skill and they can invest in this, and that can make them money while they're sleeping. But it's like only you can really know where you're sleeping on that. But we should we're really interested, and I've always been really interested in investing and stuff like that. So I think we should actually I know we've had Hannah on the podcast who talked a bit about investing, but I want to go way more in depth and get like on like different avenues of investing, and investing as, again, time, business wise. Maybe we can get like a good guest on, or maybe read some more books, because I think it's such valuable advice that you're not taught in school.
No, definitely.
Like that's a lot what Rich Dad Poor Dad is on about, how like he basically teaches in this first lesson, but he only teaches it through making them work at this shop for like no money. And the guy's like complaining that he doesn't like the way he's teaching, and he's like, because I'm not teaching you how they teach in school. Like this is real life, and the only way you're going to learn about money is through real life and working with people and interacting. Like you can't really learn how to manage money and manage your time and everything through a textbook. I think he was saying it's like in studies, it's like the most the least effective way to learn is through like textbook learning, and it's like the school systems across the world are all like 95% textbook learning or something like that. And I was like, isn't that funny?
The Matrix.
And just finally, obviously, like we said, starting your own business, whether you're doing it with your best friend or whether you're doing it on your own or whether you're doing it with a group of people, can be so challenging, and you can really come up against yourself and just all sorts. So I think having support, or someone you can lean on, someone you can ask advice, or even like a community of people. I'm sure there must be like loads of like, because obviously now like the rise of like online businesses and so many people stepping into that kind of route, there must be like so many communities.
Yeah,
there
is. I think we live somewhere where there's really not. But I think maybe if you're in a city, there's so many like apartment buildings that also have like co-working spaces in them. Like, because so many people will have purely remote jobs even if they work for someone else.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and you're not around people. But also, I know that like lots of people will go to Bali. I don't think.
They're all like,
because there's loads of those digital nomads. Which is obviously.
There is like digital nomad communities, aren't there?
Yeah, so like I think a lot of people go there as well because they can find their tribe, kind of sort of thing.
Yeah, because obviously we are evolved to be in tribes, and I think that's why people do also really love like working in offices and stuff. It's quite nice.
Oh yeah, and
you have like your tribe.
You're literally having like a huge daily tick of a huge human need from being in an office, in a team with other people. That's also why working in a big company or even in a small company, just working and feeling a part of something else is so important for your health.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, having your own business can be lonely. So it's like
major.
Yeah. It's knowing like when to reach out for help and just allowing yourself to ask for support, whether that is business advice or whether it's just like I'm having a shit day and it's like my emotions have totally gone up and totally fogged my view of like what I'm doing and what my work is. Like me and Grace are obviously really lucky because we have each other, and there may be some days that like we'll spend ages like working on something, and then I don't know, maybe your imposter's a bit loud that day, or maybe you don't like how it's looking, and you could easily like whirlwind
just
yourself into thinking shit.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to start again or something like that. But we are always like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Oh, do you think this looks good? And that is like a massive part of our business, I think, which actually holds it together, is overlooking each other's work.
Yeah, definitely. And like I have times where I like I have a week where I'm like, I feel a bit lonely this week. Like as in,
because we do work separately quite a lot. Because honestly, I just don't think we could work together every day. Like it would be impossible.
We'd mess around too much. Well, no, we
chat
don't.
too much.
We work
which
hard,
is fine. But yeah,
it's
every day
we're
we
best
just
friends
couldn't.
as well. So, you know, we're
Exactly.
talking about what's going on each other's hinge and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Then before you know it, you're like, oh my god, let's start work.
But yeah, sometimes like I'll have like a week where I'm like, oh, I feel a bit lonely, and then I'm actually like, I'm being less productive, and I don't need
Yeah.
Abby to sit there and talk to me and soothe me, but I just need to sit with her in a room, and that's it. So I'll be like, please, can you come to Starbucks with me, please? I know it's not the scheduled day, but please. Just because when you're in a tribe, it soothes your nervous system.
No,
And you're
yeah.
more confident because you're in other people. Sometimes actually, if I'm just sat with you, and I can just even be like sitting and making work with you, that maybe I'd overthink if I was at home thinking, oh, this looks fucking shit, and spend 3 hours on it. I could do it in 30 minutes, sat there with you, because I'd be like, is this cool? And you're like, yeah, it's cool. I'm like, that's cool. Just keep going. And like, we're not even sat there talking to you there all day. I'm just sat with you. It really helps me.
Yeah.
But when you're
I do enjoy that as well.
entrepreneur, you're like,
Yeah, I just don't.
I don't know. Hats off to you if that is you.
Yeah.
Like, just honestly,
Especially
I don't know
like
how you
work
do
from
it.
home and stuff.
I don't know
like
how you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, you really got to know your limits and know when you need to reach out and ask for support.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if it's just asking like your parents.
Yeah, but if they ever ran a business before, sometimes they give you the most dog shit advice. They just don't.
Oh yeah, not like
your
practical
problem.
advice, but even just like
My mum
if
was
you're
like,
overwhelmed.
"You work too much," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"No,
Mum says
I
that to me as
don't."
well.
And if I didn't, you'd be on my case saying that I don't know. Shut up. That's what I say.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like you need to speak as well.
Yeah.
Like as in like maybe if you've had like a day, obviously we kind of have each other as well.
Vent rather
Yeah,
than
that's
like
what I
have
mean.
advice. Just vent.
Yeah. So like anyone you can maybe vent to and be like, oh, this happened today. And even if you feel like they don't get it, because like your business is your business and it'll be so unique. At least just having someone to just hear you out and be like, oh, that sounds a bit tough, but I hear you.
Yeah. So yeah, if you don't have a co-founder, do try and get in some sort of community, definitely, because it will massively impact your business's success, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
There's only so much one can do by themselves before your brain eats you up.
Yeah.
And loneliness is not good for anyone.
No. What do they say? Like, there's no point getting to the top if you're the only one there or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like some weird little quote, but it's kind of true. Like,
yeah.
as in, don't isolate yourself so much for success, because then what's the point anyway?
You still be unhappy. And like, also, obviously, you can be really passionate about what you're doing, and that can kind of override the hardness of maybe doing it on your own. But it's only so far. But then obviously you get to that point where you can hire teams and stuff and have people working with you that are really excited about what you're doing, which would have made major help. Like, it's just like a bit of a tough bit at the start. So you either have to be really quite resilient and push through and just do your best to like build people around you and stuff that are like maybe in a similar boat. But yes, not easy.
No. Yes, we hope like no matter what you're kind of doing, whether you got your own business or not, we hope you could take some tips from that, because we covered off so many bits that you could just apply to your everyday life.
Yes.
And like we said, like we're always learning and growing and finding our feet with you. Obviously, our businesses are still babies in the grand scheme of things, so we're always going to take you along for the journey. And we'll do more episodes like this, more things we've learned, get more guests on, like I've said, to all help you level up and just learn more knowledge.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We will be back next Wednesday with a new episode. Share it on your stories. Tag us if you love this at Find Your Feet Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at Find Your Feet Podcast. And you can also watch all these episodes on YouTube at Finding Your Feet Podcast.
But that is all for now, guys, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.